Hello, I am Vanessa Cruz, I am Food Technician, and in this video I will explain the difference of notification processes of some of the European countries, especially in France, Germany and Italy. First of all, we have to differentiate between a notification and a communication of placing on the market. In the notification, we have to wait for the confirmation from the health authorities before you can start selling the product. It would work as a process of authorization, but please know that the health authorities will never assume any kind of responsibility for this. But until you don't receive any positive feedback from the health authorities, you won't be able to start selling the product there. Then we have the communication of placing on the market. In this case, we don't have to wait for the confirmation from the health authorities. As soon as the product is perfect, we will notify it with more documents and we will obtain the proof of notification. And in this moment, we can start selling the product in that country. This does not mean that the product will not be checked by the health authorities afterwards. As we have commented in other videos, there is not a general regulation for all the European countries. We have to take into account the internal regulation of each single country where you want to sell the product, and then see if the product is legal or not there. And now we are going to explain a little about the three countries that we have mentioned. First is France. In France, there is a notification process. There is not an administrative fee. And in this case, it is a notification. So we have to wait for the confirmation from the health authorities in order to start selling the product here. The label must be in French language and also in compliance with the French regulations. Once the label is perfect, we will submit it with more documents and we will have to wait for the confirmation from the health authorities. It could be in favor by sending us the proof of notification, and in this moment we can start selling the product in France. Against, because the product does not comply with the regulation and it is rejected. Or maybe they could tell us some comments and we have to take into account these comments in order to modify the label of the product. Then we will continue with Germany. In Germany there is a notification process and there is not also an administrative fee. In this case, it is a communication of placing on the market, it is not a notification, so we don't have to wait for the confirmation from the health authorities in order to start selling the product in German. The label must be in German language and based on the German regulation. Once the product is perfect, the label is okay, we will notify it with other documents and we will obtain the proof of notification. And in this moment, we could start selling the product in Germany. But again, this does not mean that the health authorities will check afterwards the label of the product. And finally, we will continue with Italy. In Italy, there is a notification process, but in this case, there is an administrative fee of 160 euros with 20 cents per product. In this case, it is also a communication of placing on the market, so we don't have to wait for the confirmation from the health authorities. Once the label is perfect, we will submit it, we will obtain the proof of notification, and in this moment, we could start selling the products in Italy. But there is a preliminary step in order to be able to notify the product. We have to apply for the Italian credentials. It is an access to the online system of notification. Until you don't receive the credential, the user and the password, you won't be able to notify this product in Italy. It could take 1 month to be granted. Sometimes it takes a little longer and sometimes it takes a little less. It will depend on the case. And they ask us for some documents. For example, the identity document of the administration of the company stamped by the notary, an official document issued by an official organism in the country where the company has its registered office, stating that it is a food business operator. By way of summary, we should note that we have to notify all the products in each single country where you want to sell it. There is not a general regulation for all the countries of the European Union. You have to take into account the internal regulation of each single country, and that the notification processes are different in each country. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you can find this information useful, and please don't forget to subscribe to our channel.